Hey guys, what's up? This is Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be discussing a general Transformers discussion topic. If you guys are interested in news and commentary on Transformers 5, the upcoming Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon, or more general Transformers discussion topics, then please check out my playlist and channel where I also have over 20 Transformers stop motion videos, some of which are previewed here. But for this video, I'm going to be discussing what types of Transformer body designs are better, Blocky or Humanoid. I wanted to give a big thanks to the user who recommended this topic, that is Bod Joe Zoe. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But anyways, I thought this was a really good basis for a topic suggestion. Now, this topic was originally just limited to a comparison between the Autobot designs in the first three Transformers films as opposed to their designs in Age of Extinction, and there are significant differences there, but I decided it would probably be better to broaden the topic to comparing Blocky versus Humanoid Transformers from the entire franchise. Basically because I think it's a lot more comprehensive, there's a lot more room for discussion there, and it is a big topic of discussion since we've seen a lot more distinction between the two types of Transformer body types in the last few years and people with differing opinions on both of them. So with that in mind, let's get started. So what do I mean by Blocky and Humanoid Transformer designs? This one is kind of open to interpretation depending on how strictly you look at the issue, but I think in most cases it can be defined well enough. There are a lot of different Transformer body types, you can find a lot of variations of designs in between, but in general the majority of Transformers designs probably can fall into these general categories. Let's start with Blocky Transformers. In a sense, you could say that Blocky Transformer designs are the traditional Transformer designs. Basically, these designs are humanoid in the aspect that they are not like Revenge of the Fallen Demolisher or anything like that. They do have the basic humanoid features in most cases, such as arms, a torso, a head, legs, etc. In a very basic sense, they are generally humanoid in these aspects. However, these designs do not strictly conform to human anatomical proportions. For example, forearms of these Transformers can be very, very rectangular, leading into very big square hands. Bodies of these Transformers may, though not exclusively, be a single big blocky piece, rather than being designated a chest, waist, etc., such as Classic's Bumblebee. And even if a Transformer has more humanoid features, ones under this category, once again, are not limited to human proportions or other features like that. Other factors that are possible and frequent in some series are shorter arms, more combat-oriented and less conventional proportions, built-in weapons, like they might have a cannon for an arm, something like that, wider bodies, small heads, chests that stick out very far, designs that in robot mode look similar to vehicle mode, etc. So there probably are a lot more details I could give, but I don't want to let this run on too long, so I'll just kind of give examples of series where the characters primarily have more blocky designs. I think those would be the Season 1 and 2 cast from Generation 1, pretty much the entire Unicron trilogy with the exception of a few characters here and there. The original Robots in Disguise cast was mostly blocky, War for Cybertron designs, and a lot of Generations figures, though not all of them because they span a lot of different series. The next category is more humanoid Transformers. While it's not entirely new to Transformers, it has been much more prevalent in recent years. This is when, unlike traditional Transformers designs, or some of the really crazy ones like Revenge of the Fallen RC, the Transformers designs of humanoid type are a lot more human in build, and they have anatomical proportions. Prime has some really, really good examples of this, such as Bumblebee. Yeah, he does get a little bit big in the leg area, but if you look at the rest of his body, he has a bigger chest that descends into a waist, and then his arms obviously aren't like big and rectangular. They're more of a natural, organic looking shape. And his hands aren't like huge and square. Basically, it looks like he could live in a conventional setting. He's not just like a war machine or something like that. He looks more humanoid in appearance, more relatable to a general viewer. Starscream's another example of this. He has a lot of these features, but to add diversity to his character, they really slim him down to give him kind of that sneaky, sinister look. You know, he has the long finger-like claws, but, you know, he still looks pretty humanoid overall. Once again, he is still a Transformer, but way more humanoid than, let's say, Energon Starscream's design, if you were to take a look at that. I mean, these are things that I didn't initially notice, but, you know, once you do take a look at them, there are some significant differences. Age of Extinction also is a really good example. I mean, look at characters like Drift and Crosshairs. They have more humanoid proportions. Also, you know, their arms are a little bit longer. They can actually cross their arms, do certain things like that. You know, you look at a lot of the designs in the Unicron trilogy, such as Energon Snowcat, you know, he wasn't made like that. He didn't look very humanoid at all. He's also a good example of how, you know, huskier Transformers change with this design. You know, we have Hound from Age of Extinction, who is kind of a fat-looking Transformer, but the way he's designed, he looks more like a fat human than like a big, square-looking robot, sort of like Energon Snowcat looked. So there are some big differences there. Also, with the more humanoid design, sometimes we see incorporation of more humanoid features, such as some details that might look like clothing. We've seen this with the animated Constructicons. Animated did this more than any other Transformers show, so I don't think it's really a trademark of humanoid designs. It's a little bit more particular to animated, but it still opens the door for some of those kind of things. And once again, going to Hound in the movie, has all that gear hanging off of him and that kind of stuff. You know, it looks like something like a soldier might wear. Also, a lot of these characters' leg designs are a little bit more humanoid in shape. Even if they are kind of blockier, they usually have designated feet rather than just like a big block like Generation Scoop and a little bit of a square that juts out for a foot, if you know what I'm saying. You know, it just looks more human altogether. You know, and their proportions, they don't have some of the really, really small heads like Cybertron Armorhide had. They're just more human looking. So I think that kind of puts them into perspective. As for some examples of them, I would say you can go all the way back to some of the characters in G1 Season 3. You know, even though they're kind of in between, like characters like Rodimus and Springer and RC look a lot more humanoid in their appearance than the original characters did, like Ironhide, Bumblebee, Jazz, those ones. And also Cyclonus looks more humanoid than Starscream did in Generation 1. So I think there's some good examples. Beast Machines, it kind of depends on who you're looking at, and it's kind of in a distorted way, but I think they're a little bit more humanoid, at least like Cheetor, Black Arachnia, Optimus, sort of. Animated, once again, it's to an extent. You have some characters that kind of vary. Prime is a really good example overall. The new Robots in Disguise show, it looks like it's going to follow suit with this. And then, of course, Age of Extinction's designs, such as the Autobots and Lockdown, and some of Lockdown's minions really do follow this as well. So overall, what do I prefer? That is a pretty difficult question. I mean, personally, I do like both. I'm not like one of these people who hates one type. I think there are a lot of pros and cons to both. I mean, for the blocky types, even though they're the original ones, they do have a lot of cons, especially when it comes to the toys of these figures. I mean, we would get a lot of them who had really, really short arms. They couldn't reach past their chest, and that kind of thing. Cybertron Downshift is a really, really good example of this. And while Transformers is primarily based on warfare, war, all that kind of stuff, I do gotta say a lot of these blocky designs look a little bit too much like that's all they can do. At least some of the older ones, like we've seen in the Unicron trilogy, you know, they didn't look conventional at any level. They look like they can basically fire a gun, ram into a guy, smash someone, but if the Cybertronian War was to end tomorrow and everyone's saying Kumbaya, they couldn't really function in a peaceful setting, if you know what I mean. Now, once again, Transformers is a war thing. You could probably argue they'd get some new upgrades to kind of tone themselves down, something like that. But I think the humanoid designs do have the advantage in this way. They are a lot more conventional. You can have a lot more fun with the toys, pose them a lot more, this kind of stuff. But I do think there are definitely problems when Transformers stick way too close to this humanoid basis. And basically you get a lot of repetitive looking designs and you lose a lot of variety. I mean, with the traditional Transformers designs, there's so much you can do because there are really no limits. I mean, most of the time you're not going to see, once again, Revenge of the Fallen Demolisher, but within reasonable grounds, you can have a ton of variety. With the more humanoid designs, you are more limited. But there are parts of this new development that I have really liked. For example, with the more humanoid designs, we've seen a lot less fisted hands. I mean, the fisted hands are okay sometimes, but personally I prefer the more open hands that can still hold a weapon, but, have a little bit more of a casual look. I really like that. Sort of like Age of Extinction Crosshairs. You can still make him look like he's punching with his hands, but it doesn't look like that's all he can do. He can actually, type at a Cybertronian computer or something like that. I will also say that the block designs, though, have the advantage of having more of a distinct Transformers look. The humanoid designs can almost look like superheroes or something. I mean, we're really getting that vibe with the new cartoon, at least I am, and kind of with Transformers Prime, with a lot of the male characters with the bigger chest, the strong arms, skinny waist, that kind of appearance. And then you have Starscream looking like this scheming, conniving, little scrawny bad guy, Megatron, the, big, strong leader of the villains. It kind of feels almost like X-Men or something like that. At least if you're to look at them, it's a lot easier to put them into that category. And that can be cool in a way, but in that aspect, I think the blocky Transformers are better. They just have more distinction. You look at them and, that's what at least I'm going to think of as Transformers. Maybe it's some nostalgia there, but I do think it is a lot more distinct for Transformers. So for that reason, the fact that there's a lot of nostalgia there, and because you can have a lot more variety with those designs, I would say if I had to choose one or the other, I prefer the more traditional or blockier designs. Though if I had my pick, I would prefer a balance of 60% of a more blocky type build, but also having more of those humanoid features like some, conventional articulation and that kind of stuff. And then also have certain designs that are extremely blocky and, a few here and there that are more humanoid than regular Transformers. I mean, there's nothing saying every series needs to build every characters the same exact way. You know what I mean? It's always good to have variety as long as it doesn't get too crazy. But anyways, I could probably ramble on about this for a really, really long time, but I want to keep this video a little bit shorter. It's already getting long. So there are my thoughts on it. You guys can leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Which types of Transformer bodies do you prefer? Maybe you're really, really glad that the development of more humanoid bodies has really taken over Transformers lately, and you're hoping it's taken in that direction. Or maybe you're a way bigger fan of the blockier designs, or maybe you like the humanoid ones, but you think they just have a little bit too much prevalence. They've kind of had their 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, and we need to get back to some more traditional Transformer designs in the mainstream media. Leave it all in the comment section below, along with any topic suggestions you might have. I know I don't always get to replying to them right away, especially because of my time being hogged up by college, but at least once a week I do get to looking at a lot of my comments. And this was a really good topic idea that I probably wouldn't have thought of on my own. So if any of you guys have other topic ideas, general Transformers discussion topics, Transformer 5 topics, leave it in the comment section below and I'll get to taking a look at it. And that about wraps it up for this one. Once again, if you haven't seen my previous Transformers commentary videos, feel free to go back and check those out, along with my Transformers stop motion videos. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more Transformers commentary, and have a good one, guys.